Hey everybody, it's Chris, and if you missed it in the intro, this is going to be a review of the Prototype Criminal from Dynamic Discs, as you can tell in the Lucid plastic. A little bit about this disc: it is a 2.1 centimeter rim, so it kind of falls in between control driver, long range driver, a little bit faster than a Felon or a XXX, not as fast as say a Scythe or an Enforcer, and if you haven't heard descriptions, it is very overstable. So in this video you're going to see a few things. You're going to see me throwing it on a couple different courses, and you're going to see me throwing it in fields on different lines, just so you can see how it throws flex, spike, flat, etc. And I am going to compare it to a Felon, an Opto Spark, the old ones, and an Opto Scythe. When I heard a little bit faster, I thought maybe the Scythe would be a good comparison, so you'll get to see it flying against those. Before anybody asks, I don't own a XXX, so I couldn't compare them. My apologies. I would have liked to get it out there with a XXX, but I just didn't have one that I could acquire for the review. So, what are my thoughts? You've heard the descriptions: stupid overstable, silly overstable, etc. But I would add to that workably overstable. I was actually worried when I heard some of the bigger arms talking about just how well it was handling their power, because I figured that meant that I wasn't going to be able to use it. And I found that to be the opposite of my experience. You'll be able to see on different lines I was actually adjusting it very well to fade into the spot that I wanted. It is very overstable, definitely more overstable than my Felon, as you're going to see. It can handle lines and torque that the Felon couldn't take. I throw one particular shot where you see the commentary where I know from experience if I'd thrown the Felon in the same line it would have cut into the ground, just because I put too much on it. But the Criminal is able to adjust itself, right itself, and actually skip almost or right into the circle on that shot. So I'm going to do a lot of voiceovers in the video, and there's quite a bit of it, so I'm going to cut this introduction a little bit short, but I really did enjoy this disc. If you're looking in that slot, it is going to compare like Felon, XXX type disc, although it's a little faster. So if you're looking in that slot, or you've been slightly uncomfortable in that slot, this could be a good one for you to look at. Surprisingly, I'm very much considering it, even as much as I love my Felons. So, Opto Criminal, Prototype plastic. If you have any questions, as always, please put it in the comments so I can get back to you. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks. So I took the Criminal out to Lakewood Hills to begin testing. This first throw was supposed to be flat, but you can see how almost immediately the disc's inner edge starts to tip down and just cuts left. The second throw is very intentionally wide right of the pin, which is straight forward from where I am, about 265. As you can see, that flare skip actually takes about 40 feet left of the pin. And this third throw is just a straight shot right underneath that branch. It's supposed to carry just wide enough to skip up to the pin, but as you can see, so stable it's actually 35 feet short. Here you can see Criminal versus Scythe with the goal of getting just past that orange sign on the left. Both discs were thrown with flex, and as you can see right here, the Criminal is already going hard left, and is going to skip just past that sign, whereas the Scythe is going to carry a little bit farther before kicking in. Here's the clip I was talking about in the intro, where I'm going to put a heavy flex on this disc to get it to go around the tree that's straight forward. I know from experience that if I'd thrown this hard and this low with a Felon, it would have buried, but the Criminal is able to flatten out and eventually skip just enough to get inside the circle for me. First field throw was purely for distance. You're going to see me flex it. It's going to go out to the right, get a little bit extra distance before the stability kicks in and brings it down past the foul pole. That distance flex line sets up our next comparison, Felon versus Criminal. Both are going to be thrown in a similar line. I'm going to flex the disc out for distance. What you get to see is that the Felon is going to tip over a little bit more, stay straight a little bit longer, where the Criminal's overstability is very apparent. It's almost already to the ground. It's going to skip farther left and be of similar distance to the Felon. The next couple of throws are going to be on a line I wish I was a little better at throwing, a spike hyzer. I'm putting these out just a touch too far right, but you can see because the Criminal is so overstable, that edge is coming down very sharp and it's sitting instead of skipping, which is the desired result. The third and final comparison is the Opto Spark versus the Criminal. My goal here was to throw a very hard, flat line so you could just see how overstable these discs were. You can see the Spark carries a little bit straighter before starting to edge left, whereas the Criminal starts to tip down, and because it is so overstable and so low, it does get a huge flare. So of course the next question is, how will it work on the course? Here's a low line drive where my goal is to skip off the top of the hill to get to the second part of the fairway, which is left. As you can see, 2 flare skips down to the middle is almost perfect. Goal on the second throw is to tack the basket on a hyzer line by going up and over all the trees on the right side. As you can see, this disc is going to come in on a very hard edge and settle about 5 feet behind the pin. The third throw is just a routine hyzer approach. Throw it out to the right, let it come back to center. I did underestimate the overstability, end up a little bit short, but the line was perfect. Here again is another one of those just hard turnovers to get extra distance out of the disc. You get to see again, it corrects late, starts to come back left, and then brings a tear to my eye when it skips off the pavement. Ouch. And just for giggles, you know a disc is overstable if it makes my forehand look halfway decent. This is one of the better forehands I've ever had on this hole, even with that late tree hit. As always, thanks for stopping in to watch and listen. I hope you found this review informative, but if you do have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to post them. I'd love to get back to you. If you did like the video, feel free to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, or even share it if you think others need to see it. Thanks.